My name is Clark Hyde, and I'm going to be telling you a story in the form of a Spoonerism. The first time I heard this story, it was being told by my father-in-law shortly after I got married, and he was telling this story in front of a large group of his children and grandchildren and extended family, and he was telling this story from memory, and it was so entertaining, and I thought to myself, this is clean, pure entertainment that's great for all ages. And as I listened to that day to his story, I told myself, I am going to learn that story from memory so that I can share it with my own children and future grandchildren. And so, after lots of practice, I'm finally able to tell you now the story that I'm going to tell you, and it's called Prinderella and the Cince. And Prinderella and the Cince is a story in the form of a Spoonerism, as I mentioned, and many of you don't know what a Spoonerism is. So I feel like it's worth me taking some time to explain what a Spoonerism is. A Spoonerism is when you take sounds from different words in the same sentence and mix them up. Usually when people talk about Spoonerisms, it's in the form of an accident or slip of the tongue, and usually it's quite funny. But in this case, and as well as other cases, Spoonerisms can also be intentional, and I think it's wonderful. I did not write this story, my father-in-law did not write this story, but I did add a few sentences that I think make it more entertaining, and so I'm going to be telling you the story of Prinderella and the Cince, as told by me, Clark Hyde. Here we go. Overall, this is a very fappy, hairy tale, but the beginning might make your creche fleep. It might even give you poo skimples. Think of a poor little glip of a sorrel, Prairie Viddy, who just because she had 2 sisty ugglers, she had to mop the flitching core, clean the stitching cove, and do all the other chasty nors while her 2 sisty ugglers went to a drancy best fall. Now wasn't that a shirty dame? Well, to make a long story short, Cinderella was chewing her doors one day when who should appear but her Gary Fodmother. Feeling very fadly for this witty prey, she happed her clans, she said a few wagic merds, and in the ash of a flybrow she was transformed into a bavaging Rudy. And outside on the curbstone stood a magnificent golden goat made out of a pipe-rello yumpkin. She told her to hop in and dive to the drance, but told her that she must positively be mid by homelight. Well, Cinderella, overmost with accumption, she thanked the fairy from the bottom of her bart, she bimed a clord, the driver whacked his crip, and off they went in a doubt of clust. Soon they arrived at a casterful wandle, where a pransome Hince was passing a tardy for the teeple of the pound. Cinderella alighted from the soach, hanked her dropperchief, and out came the pransome Hince, who had been peering at her all the while through a wooden window. The 2 sisty ugglers stood violently sigh, not cinderizing Recognilla and recoil rarments. Well, to make a long story still shorter, the nynce went absolutely prutz over the provely lincess, and after dowers of ansing he was aisier and crever. But at the moke of stridnight, Cinderella ruddenly san away, and the disapprinted points dyked to lied. He hadn't even asked the nincess her prame. But as she was stunning down the long reps, she slicked off one of the glass kippers she was wearing, and the pounce princed upon it with eaming glies. As you can imagine, the next day he tied Oliver Trown to find the lainty dady whose foot slitted that fipper, and the ditty prame with the only fit that footed was none other than her lading lady. So in the end, she praied that mince, and they happed lively after everward. The end. Thanks for watching.